We can't afford the state we have today. We need a smaller state and a bigger private sector. And that's. But Adam, this is really.
We're actually trying to restrain government spending, cutting back more than Margaret Thatcher. And even in her time in office, what we saw was a widening disparity between rich and poor. Is it your intention as Prime Minister to narrow that gap?
Well, I want us to be a fair country, but fairness to me is principally about if you work hard, if you do the right thing, if you put in, are you treated fairly by the system? And then there's tax avoidance, which is perfectly legal and okay.
That is devil take the hindmost.
No, not at all. No, absolutely not at all. We have a huge responsibility to help the poorest in our country, to help the frail, to help the elderly, to help the disabled. If you take, for instance, benefits to the disabled.
Independent Living Fund. In 6 months' time, thousands face losing vital funding that helps disabled people to live and work in the community rather than in care. Campaigners say it will leave people at risk of becoming prisoners in their own homes or pushed back into institutions.
Everyone else takes for granted. I do feel that disabled people have been marginalised.
I think there's that idea as well that if you try really hard, you can do something. Well, I can try as hard as I like, but I cannot get myself on and off the loo. Do you know what needs that?
I want our reforms in education and welfare to be about true social justice and genuine compassion, helping people to get on and make the most of their lives and supporting those.
900,000 people took food parcels last year, free food parcels. You talked about broken Britain and fixing it. You haven't, it's more broken now than it was.
We've taken difficult decisions to reduce a stronger economy within our means. We've taken difficult decisions.
The biggest promise we made about the NHS at a time when we were going to have to make difficult cuts in public spending.
Reforms to the health service in England mean any qualified provider is now able to bid for NHS contracts. More than £5 billion worth of contracts have been advertised. Of those that have been awarded, more than 70% have been won by private companies.
The NHS has been reduced to a logo, a funding stream.
Children in temporary accommodation, B&Bs, sofa hopping between different support mechanisms. Their life chances are being crucified. And
the building rate fell far too low at the end of the last decade. The government got it moving in the right direction. But we also need to do something about the question of how many people are welcomed into the country, I think.
That's why the next Conservative manifesto will promise to scrap the Human Rights Act.
These people, they are evil, pure and simple. The moral to all this is that if you have a strong and growing economy, you can afford strong defence. And that's what we want in our country. This stockyard is going to be transformed.
The Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, that there has been a full spectrum assault on regulation. But there's almost no trade barriers between the EU and the US. What they are actually doing is looking at the regulations, the things which protect our food quality, the natural world, all the things which keep us safe from corporate predators.
Our plan is working.
start up